What is up, everybody? CP and SJ with you for another week of Every Day We're Covering, where we talk the world of sports, wagering, having a good time, and I'm all choked up here because we're into college football season. It is upon us, folks. As we're delivering this program to you, we're actually prepping for week 0 of games. There will be college football games coming up here very, very soon, right down the road. So we got to get you squared away and ready to go for that kickoff over across the pond there in Ireland, and we're going to talk about the conferences this week here as well. Last week, we did our annual kind of dive into the Iowa State-Nebraska schedules and gave our predictions there, and so we can own up to them at the end of the season. We like to do that, and may have been a little bit more difficult, I think, this time around than it was a year ago, but we'll see how it stacks up. And now we're going to take a look at the conferences, kind of give you who we think our favorite is to win the conference, and then maybe a dark horse team to look out for in each of these conferences as well. So that's what we've got on our plate here for you this week. SJ, we talked last time about getting really excited for, this time of year. Tailgates are going to start firing up. We're going to smell that smoke in the air, and we're going to pop the cooler and grab that beverage at 8 a.m. in the morning, get us fired up and ready to go. Nothing better. Getting ready for.
I guess Saturday. As you get older and our stage in life, it's about as close as you can get to that feeling of Christmas morning when you can't sleep hardly at night because it's the excitement's just overwhelming. I guess we're getting to that point, and you look at the calendar, you're like, you feel like it's been a long time, but also you're like, man, it's already here, kind of type of thing. So it's a good thing though. It's that last week of August has always been kind of what we set our clocks to, at least, and it's nice to get back to the real deal and watching some football. It is always kind of strange with that feeling. The first couple of weeks are almost like surreal because you haven't watched football in so long, at least football that mattered, and it's like, man, so much going on. Like a team gets blown out or someone's got a 20-point lead and blows it, but you're like, oh, it's only week 1, it's only week 2. In the big scheme, it doesn't matter, but it's very easy to let your emotions take off there, and you're like, oh man, you see it. Somebody wins week 1, you're like, oh man, that's a team to watch this year, and they end up like 6-5 or so. It's nothing that really matters, but it's I guess that's the fun of it too. It's not the worst thing, but it is got to keep those emotions in check, and that's I guess that's a challenge for all of us fans.
Yeah, the overreactions come hard and heavy early, that's for sure. And I guess I've always found the start of the season weird too, because like you said, you feel like you wait forever for it. And then when it's finally here, it just kind of hits you in the face. And I think part of the problem too for a lot of folks, especially in a certain period of your life, if you've got kids, you've got people involved in school, you have that whole like back to school time, you're all geared up thinking about that kind of consumes you. There may be lots of practices and other things going on. And then it's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be paying attention to football too. Like it all kind of comes at once. So it gets a little overwhelming, I think. And it's hard to keep track of everything for sure. But we are excited that we have that problem now. That's definitely a good thing. Talking about opening those beverages early in the morning. We got to talk about what's fueling us here through the podcast. I did get some recognition from the folks in the office the other day because they're like, oh yeah, because there's a new guy in the office, and they're like, yeah, if you want to know about beer, you got to go talk to Chris, and he talks about it on his podcast.
There you go. All right, a name for yourself. Yeah.
I'll take it. Yeah, get a little notoriety for, I guess it's something good as long as it ain't a problem.
You know your limits, yeah.
So let's talk about what we're drinking here this week. I promised last week I would have a new one because I had it and I just hadn't got it cold yet, and I have done so since then, and I've had a couple, and I'm gonna give it a thumbs up. This is a pretty decent beer. It is a little bit more on the hoppy end of the spectrum because it is an IPA. It's a hazy IPA. But our fine friends that we do like many of their beers from, the old Infusion Brewing Company there in Omaha. My mother-in-law gave me this one for birthday. It's called Trip Hazy IPA. So I mean, at first I had to make sure there wasn't some other ingredients in there before I consumed, but it just says, take a trip through clouds of unfiltered hops and psychedelic tropical flavors. It's a 6.5% alcohol by volume IPA, and pretty good. I think it's definitely drinkable. It's one of those that sometimes those hazy ones get a little bit too much if they're really unfiltered or it has a lot of heavy sediment, but this one's kind of on the lighter end of that spectrum, I would say. So I enjoy it. It's worth a try. So and very cool artwork. We talked about that last time. Got to give a shout out to the artwork. This one's pretty cool. It's got the VW bus flying through space, with all the trippy colors. So there you go. You're on a magical ride. SJ, what do you got over there?
I mean, I don't follow this news too much, but I know there's some talk of flying cars type of legislation going on in certain states. So I mean, you picked the right beer. I think we've been doing this for a little bit now, so I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure I haven't shouted this place out, but maybe I have. Either way, we'll revisit this if we have. But Rochester Brewing, I don't even get there very much. They have I didn't go to their main site, but they have a little I guess you call it a tap room or just another off site. I guess it's kind of interesting because they do. I mean, I think this is common, but it's like a coffee / beer type of place. They even do they got a bakery and all. It's kind of a mix of everything good there, right in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I grabbed what they had is the Rochester Rye, they call it, and it's a Roggen beer. Again, we're going the BIER, the German style. I guess I'm in the Oktoberfest again. But they do have a pretty good little description here, like we went through it last time. So I'll go ahead and throw it at you because other than the taste for these, I'm just like, it tastes good. That's about all the advice I can give. So I'll leave it to the experts. So this says it's originates in Bavaria. It was a traditional German ale brewed with rye malts before wheat beers rose to popularity. So it's similar to what they say is a Dunkelweizen. It's got prominent rye malt flavors and aroma. So basically like a rye beer, I guess, as close as you can get to it. So about just over 5%, so not too crazy, but definitely an interesting pour and something you don't really get every day.
Yeah. So I'd assume a little bit on the darker side of things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, you're not talking porter stout, but definitely, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, yeah, good stuff. All right, it's a new one, a new variety, I guess, to put in your cart there and try out. That's nice. I do have to say, I'm gonna give a plug too. A shout out to Brickway Brewing Company out of Omaha. I made a stop there on Saturday. Mrs. and I were out for a little anniversary getaway, and so we stopped there for some drinks, and we did the flight with all of their stouts. Because they've got 4 of them that are all actually, honestly, all pretty good. But definitely found another one that was tasty, but is so dangerous. Nice dark color there. SJ, show me that beer. They have one called it's like a Blackout Stout, I believe is what it was called. And it's like 17% or something. It's
aptly named.
It packs a punch. But it was good. Like it had that sweet caramel taste to it. Like you could tell it was more alcohol in there, but it wasn't like some of them that are just overbearing where that's all you're tasting. It was a good one.
You're not getting the facial reaction. It's just you can tell the taste, but you don't have to kind of like
no bitter beer face.
The bitter beer face or nothing like that. I think the only one I've had from them is I don't know if it's is it oatmeal stout or just straight stout, coffee stout? Do they have
the coffee vanilla stout?
Yeah, that one's really good.
Yeah, it's super good.
Tried that one, but again, the nice thing about a flight, maybe something you wouldn't want a 6-pack of that 17%er or a 4-pack. I'm sure they do it in that. But at least you can try it and be like, well, it's not too bad. At least you have an idea. That's I love a good flight. That's a good option to have, and the places that let you kind of build it.
Yeah. Yep.
And it seems the whole point of it, but there's still a few you get to, and it's like, oh, here's this flight or that flight. It's like, can I just pick what I want?
Yeah.
No,
exactly.
it's like, oh, you just can't pour it in that little cup there.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll get something else.
Yeah. Let's not make this difficult. Of course they upcharge you a little bit for the ones that are like that one is 17 makes sense. It probably costs a lot more to brew. But good stuff. It was a nice little pit stop. So that's what we're drinking here this week. Give me a couple options to possibly try there. Some new beers we're talking about. And let's get after it. Let's dive into these conference selections. As we I guess I'm preface this the same way that I did with our team selections. I mean, this is getting harder and harder every year because you got to keep track of what coaches are where. I mean, that's always been the case, but that seems like it's even more so than it used to be. And then what players are where, because they can move all over the place, and oftentimes they move with that coach. So lots of things that have happened in that regard this year. Lots of transfers that'll be impactful at other schools. You might be thinking about a school and think, oh, yeah, that guy, and then, oh, yeah, crap, he plays for whatever team now. So some of that I'm sure I'm going to forget along the way and miss and mess up. So, give us a little grace here. We're going to try to do our best here to fight through this. But I think we've got to, get a roundabout idea. I mean, this obviously never is an exact science. It's that's been proven by preseason polls since the beginning of time, even before all the players were moving around. So it's pretty hard to do. But at least sometimes I think you can get an idea of a team that at least will have some success and possibly is in the contention to win the thing. So that's kind of where we'll go here. But let's start. We'll start with the conferences that we don't normally talk about as much because our teams are not involved that we follow as closely. But we'll start with the one that's kind of I guess been the odd child out here in the world of football right now. The ACC. They expands from coast to coast now, which I guess it's the Coastal Conference. It's whatever, West Coast, East Coast. It can work both ways. But they found a team in Texas too, so go figure there. It's there's some teams that are interesting here in this league this year. But SJ, I guess I'll just start it off by saying to me it's pretty hard to say. A team that was in the mix to win a national championship last year and got a transfer and a pretty good quarterback to fill the void of their leading role might be pretty good again. So I would say that Miami's probably the team to beat here.
I mean, it's similar to last year. Even it was kind of theirs to lose, and they ended up losing it.
Yeah,
so
they did do.
I guess that was on them. But yeah, it's hard when you're just looking at what we know on paper and just looking at talent, what they have coming back, and also just the trajectory of the programs. At least at the numbers I'm looking at and the board or the site when I'm going after the odds, they're the only conference champion selection on this according to these odds. That's minus. It's not plus money. So I mean, and that to be at this point of the season, we haven't even played a game yet, and I guess I get minus 146 what I'm seeing to win it all. Like that seems you're not going to get much higher than that, at least for a futures type of thing at this point of the season. So, I mean, that kind of says it all right there. I don't really know how, I mean, neither of us would be surprised if they don't win it because like we just said, last year they didn't get the job done and it really doesn't matter when you're looking for the playoff thing. But as far as, winning that conference championship, it's just hard to pick anybody else if that's, who we're saying. Now we're going to probably throw some things out there. We think, look at this and maybe give this an option and try to get some benefit of the plus money that is out there. But when you're saying who do you actually think's going to win, I'm with you. You got to go Miami. Yeah,
I mean, and just a lot coming back from that team from a year ago. I mean, maybe one. And obviously, they lose the quarterback running the show there in Carson Beck, but honestly, he kind of had a poor finish there to the end. I mean, he wasn't the one, I don't know, that was driving the horse so much as it was the running game and the defense. And they've got a lot of those dudes back. And yeah, they plugged in some new players as well. Obviously, they lost some key ones on the defensive side too. Ruben Bain would come to mind, but Mensa, I feel like, is a good plug and play for them at that position. He, did well at Duke, maybe not as well as they wanted him to when he went there from Tulane, but now gets a new surrounding with probably, a lot more talent around him. And I think he'll have some success, probably fits pretty well into what Cristobal will be able to do there. 10.5 wins I'm seeing is their over-under, which is pretty insane for a team to start the season. So, I mean, I guess if you want to look at it that way, maybe that's a team to fade too if you think they're going to trip up a couple of times like they have in the past. But yeah, like you said, as far as winning the conference, especially, of course, what was one of the controversies over the offseason was changing the qualifying rules for the ACC championship because it got so screwy last year with them stumping their toe down the end of the regular season and then Duke and Virginia having to battle it out. They've changed those rules, so it's more likely than ever that they would make it. And I heard something earlier today, though, that did shock me, SJ, that they have not won the ACC since they've joined it. I can't believe that's true. But
well, I mean, you obviously kind of, I think for a few years that they didn't have a championship game, so that probably plays into that. But I mean, but still, if someone asked, if that's a trivia question at your local Tuesday night trivia night, or if you're playing a little sports Jeopardy, I'll probably be in the group that would miss that, because you would assume, I know they've kind of just got things going and they had a few down years, but as you mentioned with the conference, it's not like outside of Clemson when they put together their run, it's just kind of been a ho-hum type of deal for the most part across the board there. Florida State's got a year or two, but other than that, you kind of, when you think of that conference, football wise, at least Miami is probably the first thing that pops in your mind with, the other teams shifting and moving out of that conference. So yeah, that's a hell of a stat. You want to keep that in your back pocket when you need a few extra bucks there to maybe win a bet, because I guarantee you'd stump a lot of people on that one.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So I think we're both in agreement that is the favorite here to win the league. Now, as far as a dark horse is concerned, I'll start because I don't think this is probably isn't a revelation as far as a dark horse when the team, was basically won 10 games last year and was right in the mix to be in the college football playoff had they not stubbed their toe in the ACC championship game. But I think Virginia is an interesting team to watch again because they brought back a lot of that team from a year ago, and they've got some new weapons running the show too. Beau Pribula, if you remember him from his days at Vanderbilt, and I believe did he make a pit stop at Mizzou as well? I can't keep track of these guys anymore, but he's been a good quarterback. And I think he transferred to Missouri last year. He got hurt and didn't play a lot as part of the deal. But he's there. They've got another guy that transferred in too that I think that they were high on that could be a good backup. Does he have some problems? But I think he's a good weapon to run the show. So I think that there's not a lot of other teams that jump out at you in this league as far as like, oh yeah, I feel really good about what they can do. I mean, obviously Clemson's always a wild card type team. You talk about Louisville, they always seem to kind of be in the mix. But Florida State, who knows what they do year to year. So that's who I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with Virginia to be the other team that maybe jumps up and not even just has a good season, but could win it.
Yeah, that's I like that concept. And then plus 2,000 is what I was seeing somewhere. So if that does happen, you'll be a happy camper there. You mentioned one team that I guess would think maybe an outside shot, get things rolling there is Louisville. And I mean, what they lose to that Virginia team in overtime last year early in the season, that was their only loss through November 1st. But then they just hit the skids. They lose 3 out of 4 down the stretch. But in that first part of the season, they even beat Miami. So, I mean, so they were close even last year. So I guess I'd play off that. Maybe you have some confidence coming into this year. We've kind of played with these guys and beat them. Plus 850 is what I was seeing. So again, not a decent, I wouldn't be super confident, but one of those fun plays where you're like, well, maybe if they get on a run here or do something crazy, it'd be a good return on it, just a fun play. I'd also throw into the mix there, and this would obviously be more of a long shot, just having some fun here, but I think Virginia Tech could be kind of like, who knows what we're getting type of thing too with Franklin taking over down there, because that's a pretty talent rich area. And if you he's definitely under the radar. They're not, when you watch, hear the preseason guys with the magazines that are put out with the guys that are kind of do this on an annual basis, there's not a ton of talk from them about like, oh, maybe they can make a run or watch out for them. Remember, he's taking over type of thing, which I think would benefit and play into his favor, because even you go back to his Vanderbilt days, it was kind of, no one started talking until he did it for 4 or 5 years. And then they're like, oh man, this guy's like pretty legit here. And then Penn State, the years that they did do well, it seemed like they weren't really, they definitely weren't like the odds on favorite like they were last season when things kind of fell apart. And there's that wasn't just last year. There's several years. I mean, obviously that's why he's not there anymore. That was there. He just couldn't get over the hump when he was kind of the expected to do so. So I think kind of back to maybe where he performs his best and does his best coaching, where you're not really, we're not thinking that you're going to do big things and then you end up kind of sneaking up on people. So I guess I would throw that in there as, nothing to be super confident about, plus 2,800 obviously, but still, you could see it potentially playing out as the season progresses, maybe at least being in the mix type of a thing.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that as well. That's another interesting little look. It is going to be fun. That like we talked about that already. That's one of those teams that's certainly going to be fun to follow and see how they progress and how that changes. And I heard somebody mention too with him. It's been a while since we've seen underdog James Franklin, and that's obviously what he always excelled at before. So here he is again. Let's see if that changes things. Maybe it just got a little bit too pressurized and too awkward there in Happy Valley for him, and now he's going to be able to have some success again with a little more freedom. So, going to be interesting to watch for sure. Okay, so that's the ACC. Let's move on to the old dreaded villain, the SEC. Just means more. We're gonna figure out who's gonna win the more. I don't know. This is interesting. There's a lot of teams, certainly, I think, that are in the mix. There's two that stand out, I think, as the favorites. The odds-on favorite would be the Georgia Bulldogs, as we see it on the odds makers sheets there in Vegas. Texas not far behind them, and then you're looking at a little bit of a drop back before you get to the likes of Oklahoma, Alabama, LSU, Ole Miss, most of them next in line. SJ, who's winning this thing?
I mean, I guess you would. I would just off of who I think is probably the best team. You think Georgia, but then the fact that kind of I don't really like is the fact that they won it last year, which usually that kind of plays in your favor. But these days, it's really hard to with the depth of every conference, especially with this one being so top to bottom strong as we're told. You got to kind of think it's quite a chore to repeat in any conference. So that's why it gives me a little pause. I mean, I'm not going to stay away from that. Honestly, I don't really like that for the fact that they won it last year, and I could just see it kind of shaking up with things changing. So, I hate to do this, but I guess my favorite, or who I would be more likely to win, I guess that's a better way to determine, because they're definitely not my favorite. I'll probably lean Texas. I think they were right there last year. They've had a kind of putting things together. Now, this doesn't mean I think they're going to do much damage. We're just talking conference champion here. We're not talking anything with playoffs or that type of thing. But as far as within the conference, I could see them kind of getting things together and putting it together. And I'll go ahead and take them as my favorite. Although the books, they say different and the odds say different. I just don't. A repeat is just not really. It's nice. This isn't where you gotta. I think we're past those days of 3 out of 4, 2 in a row, back to back, 4, 5, 5 out of 7, or anything like that. It's just really hard to do with how good and not only just the teams, but just the movement of players and how things change so quickly, and with coaches, everything of that nature. And before last year, we were kind of ready to, we didn't know how good Kirby Smart was anymore. We thought Georgia kind of was done. They went on a little run and kind of. I mean, I obviously still think they were a good team, but they definitely kind of kept themselves on that top tier with that conference championship finish. Of course, didn't go well after that, but still, before that was like, I think their window's closing was the conversation. So it does change pretty quick when you have a good result there. You kind of forget about what we were saying about them just a few weeks prior to that.
Well, this is painful for this program because you stole my line. That's what I was gonna go the same route. I just feel like it's hard to repeat. But you've also got a team in Texas that of course, always has high expectations for themselves. That's never a problem, at least in their eyes. But they do have a lot of talent coming back to this team, and they did play pretty well throughout last season. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of turds put out by them. And maybe they didn't live up to the full hype. Obviously, I think the Manning thing got out of control to start the year, and that's not his fault, and that's not their fault. It's just what the media did. But, well, I get it's a little bit their fault. But I think he is a good player, and I think he's got better as the season went along, and they brought in maybe one of the most dynamic game-changing players that they could have at the wide receiver spot to help him out, and Cam Coleman, who came over from Auburn. So I think that give him more weapons. Well, in hell, they've got an NFL offensive lineman coming back to school, right? So they're stacked. They got players everywhere. So I think it is the year that Texas finally lives up, maybe, so to speak, to the expectation and does win the conference. I don't think it's going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah. And I think that, it's very possible that they are up to their old tricks and they lose a game that they're not supposed to. That's very well could happen. But I think they're set up this year more than in a long time to actually, fulfill the prophecy and get there and win the SEC. I think Georgia's right on their heels. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to go Texas to win it as well. Which
you could definitely see that being kind of the matchup for everything, and that shows. Just to give ourselves, we don't know how it's going to play like that, but we definitely put our bias aside to make that pick, because that doesn't give either of us any joy at all whatsoever.
No love lost
for the
there.
dark horse. All getting thrown out there, and similar to, the ACC thing is just what's Lane Kiffin going to do there at LSU?
Yeah,
there's got to be tons. Those cupboards are loaded with talent.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that if anybody maybe could do a quick thing, and I don't think it could be sustained because we know he's not for long wherever he goes. But that might be the year one that maybe best suits him to kind of catch people, and they're not going to catch him off guard because everybody knows him and there's a lot of familiarity there. But as far as just kind of get hot and make a run there, maybe it's year one. Other than that, I don't because who knows? Like I said, how long he's going to be there? Could NFL job can call him next year and he's somewhere else. It's so I could see him kind of loading up there for a year or two, maybe even 3 max, and just moving on again. But that would be with the odds that where they are now, that would be one where maybe could get you some decent return if you're trying to pick something kind of out of left field there from my perspective.
Yeah, that's obviously very logical. I heard somebody say, and this is so true. The minute I heard it, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Because obviously the LSU, the school, has been in the news here this last week, if you haven't been paying attention with the whole Jaden Daniels saga. But they kind of mentioned, just like that's the kind of crazy shit that happens at LSU, and like that's how nuts these people are about their football team and stuff. Like the fans are just out of control, like wild. And they're like, could there ever have been a more perfect match for Lane Kiffin? Like, he's goofy. He's a wild card. That's kind of how they roll too. Maybe it's going to work. Who knows? I like you said, not for long. It could be a flash in the pan type of thing, but it is going to be interesting.
If you get any type of championship out of it, it's worth it, I would think, in your mind.
Yeah. And it's just sort of one of those guys too that's like so polarizing, because like 1 minute you think like this guy's an idiot, like you just like you can't believe anything, and then he'll come on and say something, you're like, oh, I kind of like that he said that, right. But then the next minute he like goes back and says something that's totally opposite the next day. So it's just like, oh, I can't keep up with this guy. And of course the way he left didn't make anybody happy there. That whole thing was just kind of
he just kind of has one of those faces too, where you're like, just like smug looking.
I'm not supposed to trust this guy, is what this tells me. Yeah, exactly. He's the guy over your shoulder at the craps table trying to give you advice. Kind of touching the dice and whatever. I don't know. Interesting character, but yeah, that'll be fun to watch. I'm gonna go my dark horse, and this isn't a dark horse team to win it by any means, but I think a dark horse team to maybe like just kind of surprise you and shake things up a little bit. And I'm going to go with Auburn. I think it's an interesting transition there with Golish coming over there from South Florida. It's been a long time since they've been good. They had that wild little run there with the whole Gene Cheese Sticks, Cam Newton thing, and then it just never kind of got back on the rails again, it seemed like. But they're obviously a school, again, that's crazy about their football program. And I think, I think Golish is a good coach. He's done some great things. But it's interesting, too, some of the guys that he's bringing along with him, especially at that quarterback spot with Byron Brown. He's kind of just an interesting player, tough guy that can throw it and run it, with get the hard yardage type of thing. They beat Florida in the swamp last year, and he's brought a lot of that team with him. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how they play. Now, it could be one of those deals, too, where they only end up winning a handful of games, But I think one or two of those is going to be one that's like, oh crap, they won that game. I think they're that type of team this season. So that's why I'm picking them as kind of a dark horse to shake it up.
Yeah, it was curious to see that Alabama, at least where I'm looking, is like the third, like third down the list there of favorites to win it. It's got to be the name a little bit too, but I do think that's I don't know. It seems interesting to me when at least perception doesn't seem to be the case with that one. So maybe they will be better than others think this year, but I'll have to wait and see on that one. I think it's a big year because even if they sneak into the playoffs and get routed again, or if they perhaps miss out on it, I don't know if they might run DeBoer right out of town. I can imagine that would happen because you can't. There's not much patience there.
No, for sure. And yeah, obviously he had a tough situation coming into that role to begin with to try to take over from where they were at. So yeah, that's another interesting team to always watch. They did have their little flurry there at the end of last season, kind of maybe saved them a little bit. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. So that's the SEC. That's kind of what we're looking at there. There may be a few other teams obviously in that mix, and I think there's plenty that are capable of being a little bit of a spoiler type team. I know people have talked a lot about feeling that Missouri's got potential to be pretty good this year. They always seem to be kind of like in the middle of the pack. Somebody that can do some damage. Of course, A&M thinks they're going to win the national championship every year, so who knows?
And they might, on a technicality, they might vote or find some type of just add a year. Oh, we actually won that year, so they may do that. Even Oklahoma, I know, is getting a lot of talk. I think I think they would have maybe if somebody else in charge, talent wise, they could maybe hang for at least make a run or be in the conversation. I just don't think Venables is like that high level coach that you're going to be going against with these other schools. And then when you look across the country too, maybe he is. It just doesn't seem like that. And I know he just got an extension the other day, which was very peculiar. So I don't know what that's all about. I just don't. To me, he doesn't seem like that upper echelon type of coach when you compare him across the country or even within that conference.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you. All right, so let's move over to the Big 12 here, the Monster Energy Big 12, as it's now known.
Not if the doctors will have their the doctors have any say with it. Like, that one. I don't know if you probably caught the stuff about like there's some. You know how social media is and Twitter that supposedly there's a new, and it could even be a fake post. They're looking for like a new marketing social media type of guy because of that deal, and then all of a sudden you got these doctors saying this isn't safe for kids. Like, well, we already knew that. Neither is thinking like alcohol's not safe for anybody, let alone you can't have it if you're under 21. And then there's plenty of advertisement for that in sports stadiums. And then, any down the list, freaking damn Little Debbie's aren't safe for anybody, but we still people buying those left and right. Exactly. So I get the whatever, like maybe we talked before, of course, maybe you think it's a bad deal, that's fine, but I don't this other stuff. It's good for a laugh, but it's also kind of ridiculous that we're getting to this point where it seems almost like somebody said, hey, tell someone, say this is bad, and then we can back out of the deal or something. I don't know what the point of it is.
The laundry list of other things that Monster has probably sponsored over the years is like, you tell me none of these had kids involved, like along the way somewhere. Like, give me a break. Like, if you're gonna pick it against the company in general or the idea of an energy drink. That's fine, I get it, but now it's suddenly because they're associated with a college conference. Okay, well, we're selling beer in the stadium too. Like, whatever, it is what it is.
Well, I don't know. Maybe some store would abide by the whatever guidelines, but I'm pretty sure if you're on to any convenience store and a kid grabs one and buys it, very few are going to be like, hey, you can't have that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was just more like comical, but I was like, it's like you read this stuff, you're like, hold on, is this damn AI? Like, nope, that's legit. Like, son of a bitch. Like, can't that be fake, please?
Talk to the FDA for God's sake. So that's what you got a problem with. So anyways, beyond that fiasco, they're going to play football. And, this is interesting because I'm going to lean one way, and I think it's because I already had a bias anyways before, but, so maybe this isn't the head thing to do, more with the the heart. And I wouldn't even say that because I'm not like I really lug the school. I don't like a lot of things they do. I don't appreciate them, but Texas Tech is the long shot odds on favorite right now to win. If you're looking at books, they're a minus if you're getting in a good place at 105 to win the league. Now, the next ones in contention would be BYU, Utah, and Houston. And here's where I'm at. Last year, I was wrong. I admitted it. I thought BYU was going to give Texas Tech run for their money at the end of the year, and that did not happen. They got soundly beaten by Tech, and Tech went on, of course, then to not play any offense once they got into the college football playoff. But I think that turns a little bit just because of what's happened. I mean, there's no doubt that Tech's going to have a ton of talent. I'm sure they went out and spent a fortune again on bringing in all kinds of guys, and I don't know the list of who they are and where they're from. They're going to have great players. Their defense probably will be really good again like it was last year. They bring some of those guys back from a really good unit. But you had the whole Sorsby thing that was just like a giant distraction, and now you've got to go to the guy who felt like he was probably getting shunned to the side. It's like, oh, and it's my job now again, and he's hurt, so they don't know how good he's going to feel by day one when they play with Will Hammond. So I think BYU actually is set up. I mean, Bachmeier's back at quarterback. They've got some of their weapons on the outside back as well. They did lose Martin, the running back, was very good. So they've got some pieces to fill for sure. But I think that they've done a good job of kind of meeting the moment as they've joined a new league. I give them credit for that. And I think this is just kind of one of those opportunities where the door is open because of that little bit of, controversy, the non-football type stuff that was going on at Tech. I think they can sneak in there and win this league. So, plus, if I'm betting it, it gives me a little bit of a little bit of action, a little bit of slice of the action there if they can do it. So, I'm going to go with BYU as my favorite instead of Tech.
I could totally see that happening, and I'm with you on the fact that Tech's they're spending all the money, they got all the high priced talent. Who knows what they're doing, what else they're doing, wheeling and dealing behind closed doors. But I just the whole there's no way that whatever that whole PR fiasco was with the Sorsby stuff is going to be a distraction. There's no way you can make we just forget about it and move on. That's because you built your whole season around the fact that you thought he was going to be the guy under center, or the guy calling plays, the guy running the show.
Yeah.
So how do you just pick and the fact of when it happened, it didn't really, and don't feel bad for him obviously, but it didn't put him in a good spot as far as moving on and getting somebody else that would have been like a top choice.
Yeah.
If they would have got him, when they went after Sorsby, it wasn't like, this guy turned him down, so they went there like the next week or the next day, how the teams do now.
Yeah.
It was like, he's guy's going to play, and then get a couple months down the road, like, oh, never mind, he can't play, or maybe he can, and then he can't, and then he can again, and now it's like, who knows what's going to happen there. So that's why I just don't, even with them being a minus team like Miami was, they're not as quite as big of a favorite, but as close as you're going to get for this time of year. I still don't feel confident picking them, and I think you kind of mentioned it's some bias, I wouldn't say I'm biased, but BYU just those falling short just kind of sticks in my mind with last year. I thought they had especially in the rematch, because they had it was close the first time they met in the regular season, but they just kind of lacked offense to kind of get over the hump. And then the second time, the offense was even worse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just all the mistakes. So, to me, that just sticks in my head. I don't know that they can't win it. Like I said, I'm with you. I could see it happening. I'm just not confident enough to pick it. So, even though I guess by the numbers, these teams are long shots, I would probably say either at Houston or Arizona. I like one of them making a run and kind of doing something out of the ordinary there. And maybe if any conference is going to have somebody, I guess, come out of the left field or out of nowhere, this would be the one. And I don't even think you go probably 6, 7, or 8 teams down that board, and I don't think you'd really be that surprised, except for maybe the one that does kind of set my fears, Utah being like, at least where I'm looking, the third, and not because of they haven't been good, but you got a new guy in charge there.
Yeah.
I think when you talk about the next conference, you talk about the fact of people that do like Michigan is because their coach just left Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and and that was a big reason of their success, and that's why people think Michigan might have like fell into something here and got lucky by whatever their other coaches was doing. So that was, I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna have a terrible season, but I am surprised that people are still thinking of that highly of them, considering you lost. I mean, name it besides Urban Meyer's little stint there. Name another Utah coach, and it's pretty
Yeah.
hard to do.
Yeah.
Whittingham's kind of what, even with the success that Meyer had there in a short time before he went to Florida. When you think of Utah football, I think most people still think of Whittingham.
Yeah, for sure. Yep, I agree. Yeah, that is interesting. They have a good quarterback. Devin Dampier is a good
Oh
player.
yeah, tell me about it. that was usually don't turn off the games too early, but that Las Vegas Bowl tempted that pushed me to the edge there.
Yeah. So yeah, they're interesting. I don't know what to, because you even the team you mentioned, a lot of people are very high on Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it because they return a lot of guys, and that doesn't happen very much anymore, and usually that helps you. But I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm seeing the whole picture there. Wigman, they got a good quarterback too. He's a good player too, but I don't know. I'm not sold. Especially the fact that they seem to struggle to have like the support that they deserve there at that school. Like, if they had a hell of a hostile place to go play, then I would maybe think different. But they just never really have a home field advantage. I don't know. It's a weird school for sure. Great basketball school, but I was
gonna say it's probably probably just a lot of that attention goes there, and I mean it is still you don't even think of them having a football team in most instances. Just before they got the Big 12, it was kind of just like it was just there because they've always had it,
Yeah, for sure. I do think they'll be good. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I don't know about winning the league. There's so many, like you said, there's so many wild card type teams here. I don't know that I can pick a true like dark horse.
Yeah,
but I think
everybody's a dark horse and everybody's a favorite.
Everybody, exactly. It's what it is. Yeah. There's a couple of situations that I think are, well, I'm going to say three that I think are really interesting. I don't know what the hell Oklahoma State's going to be like, but Mestamaker certainly is a good player, and they certainly had their success there at North Texas. So, can they bring that to the Big 12 and have the same kind of lead? I mean, everybody thinks he's going to throw for 8 gajillion yards, and I don't know that that's going to be the case, but they're going to be markedly better. It's still not, to me, it's too much of a long ways to go to get back to the top. But they're a wild card type team. Baylor's an interesting team too because they brought in DJ Lagway, who was just a very polarizing guy there at Florida. Had some huge moments. I mean, they were talking Heisman there at one point, and then he just had terrible game after terrible game, and then it's like, you just never know what you're going to get from him. He's just a up and down kind of player. And Dave Aranda, I think, is a decent coach. And he always seems to be best when like the worst is upon him and his back is against the wall because he is on the hot seat more than probably anybody in the league. So they're a wild card type team. I would be a little bit afraid of what they can do on a week by week basis. And then I think the team that I watch too, because who in the hell knows what we're going to get from them. Iowa State's, you know a couple of the players, and we know with the quarterback a little bit of what he can do. But outside of that, I mean, there's a lot of new guys that are going to be touching the field or came from somewhere else that you didn't watch a lot. So I think they're a total wild card too on what they can accomplish this year. So there's a lot of teams that are going to be very interesting to try to figure out. And I think from a fan's perspective, I guess if you aren't a diehard of one team and you just like watching a good competitive race, I think that's what you're going to get because there's going to be some surprises week in and week out probably.
Yeah, it might be one league you want to stay away from those early lines from until we kind of get a feel for it just because of that. Because up and down, I know both the teams I mentioned were, I guess, by odds, pretty long shots, but I guess for an underdog too, I'll throw Arizona State in the mix. It seems like I don't know about the preseason poll, but the last time they were kind of overlooked and not thought well of, and they were like, I think regular season a 4-loss team last year, so not a bad season.
No, not by
so I think maybe they're poised to make a little bit kind of regroup here and get things going. I mean, anytime you have to have Jeff Sims as your quarterback, I have sympathy for that. So I'll cut him a little slack. And I think maybe that's a team you look at that could go for a run, because you know that coach, he can definitely motivate that squad and get them going.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. Yeah, don't remind me of Jeff Sims. Somehow he let that slow ass run for like a 70-yard touchdown. What the hell happened there? Yeah,
just one thing he could do is run a straight line. I'll give him that.
Yeah, that's true.
That's about all. But
he did that good. Did that real well. All right, so that's the Big 12. Let's move on to the Big 10. There's certainly, I think a lot of people have described this league this year as top heavy, and I wouldn't disagree. And it's not also a thing where it's like, oh, there's only a couple of teams and everybody else stinks. I don't think that's the case either. I just think there is an echelon of really good teams, and then you don't know what you're getting beyond that. So it's going to be an interesting race. I mean, I'm gonna. This is hard. This was hard for me because I looked at this a number of different ways, and I do think that, you know, the hype is on Oregon. Everybody thinks that they're going to, you know, win the national championship this year. I do think they're very good. They're going to be a good team. It's you know, obviously they've got the resources. It's a tough place to play. All of those things. It sets up very well for them this year. I think they are going to be right in that mix. It's just that I don't fully trust them to win the conference. There's just something about them. In the last few years, they've had some struggles. And especially in some games where you just don't expect them to have a problem, and then they do. They're kind of an unpredictable team. But when they look good, they look super good. That's what's crazy. Like, you know, their potential is on display when it hits all cylinders. That is for sure. But I'm going to go with a team that a lot of people are going to say doesn't have any chance this time around, even though they're the ones that have the name. Because it is a hell of a schedule. It's not a good schedule this year. I will say that 100%, but I'm going to go with the Ohio State Buckeyes. I just think that overall talent-wise, you know, last year was maybe like a little bit of a kind of disappointment for them. You know, you still have a superstar in Jeremiah Smith. You know, you got to think other things are going to get better around him as well. You've got more time to, you know, get everybody else comfortable. I think, I don't know. I just think that they're going to be the ones, especially with the expectations not necessarily on them maybe this time around, that helps them. So I'm going to go Ohio State to win it.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't discuss any of this ahead of time, but you may not believe it or not, but I'm with you on on this one as well. Of course, at least the odds I'm looking at, they're the favorite as far as what the books think.
Interesting. Okay.
But as far as what fans and experts and pundits and all those people think, like you said, it's Oregon or bust. Essentially. Like everyone's scared to pick against them at this point. So yeah, that's definitely, I think that's a true statement you made. And also now it's like it's the opposite of how everyone's like, oh well, Indiana, how good are they? Question. Now it's like everyone again is scared to be like, I can't pick against Indiana. So they're another team that's it would be probably Oregon, just like really right below them is Indiana, at least in you know, people that are making picks mind, and then Ohio State a little bit of drop off, which to me is wild considering how well they recruit, how much talent they always have. I know the coaching is probably like lacking a little bit, but I would put Day ahead of Lanning. And I know like you can't really question what he's done, but other than like plug and play, we don't know for the long haul what Cignetti can do. So that's still, to me, that's still yet to be determined for the long haul. And I mean, the first year, I would actually think he did a better coaching job for the fact that Mendoza, 2 or 3 games, it was all on him. Why they would have lost those games without that Penn State game. Yeah, they're not winning if he's not the quarterback.
Yep.
And then that season, you're not getting as good of a seed. You're going to be playing on the road, and who knows how that playoff plays out. You probably still would have been in it, but then maybe you lose another one too. So a lot of that was on him. We'll see how the TCU transfer kind of plays out there. I know he's pretty, you know, turnover prone, at least seemed to be for that squad. So that will be something to watch. But yeah, I'm going to go Ohio State too. I think they get it done. I think this could be a bit of a revenge tour for them because before, you know, I think they've got a little comfortable being, oh, we're going to, you know, we're just going to show up and win type of thing. And a lot of these powerhouse programs kind of go through that where it kind of gets to be old hat where you just, you know, you're blowing everybody out and then you get a close game and you're like, what the hell happened? And then you lose one or two and then you're really confused about where you're at, where you fit in the world. Sounds odd, but losing one or two is kind of blows your mind. So I think maybe if anything, get them refocused and going. But I do, I do a little question some of the coaching acumen of the head man. But I think the level of talent and how many good players they have kind of can over it can kind of take that away from whatever they lack in coaching. Because I also think that even though maybe Oregon and Indiana could get as close as anybody can to matching them like player for player on the talent side, I don't think either one of them has like a huge coaching edge on either of them. I don't really know how obviously there's good coach. I think there's a lot to be desired for that Oregon team as far as coaching goes. I just think they're playing on freaking mano a mano, because we saw when a team can match them talent for talent, they look like they're like you said, if they're not hitting on cylinders, they look like they know business on the field with some of these teams, and that's wild too.
Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, to have that much talent just get run off the field is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When you see other teams that have half that as much, but they're hanging with, at least not getting embarrassed. And that's the thing with Oregon. It's like they'll beat you 60-0, but they'll also lose 35-10.
Yeah, that's the thing. You just don't like. It seems sometimes like they play down to the level of competition. It does happen to them a lot more than other teams. It's interesting because, like I said, you look at that Ohio State schedule. Like, they've got to play Texas early. I mean, that sucks. They play Illinois. They go to Iowa, which has always kind of been a bugaboo for them. At Indiana, at USC, they play Oregon. They go to Nebraska. They have Michigan, of course, at the end of the year. So, yeah, there's a lot of tough games on that schedule for sure. But I do think that they've got the potential to, like you said, kind of revenge tour type year for that team. Now, when we're talking dark horses here in the Big Ten, I think one that's interesting to me, and I'm not saying that I trust this team in the same mold that I don't trust Oregon. I don't trust this team either. But I do think it also is a coach and a type of team that usually is best when the back is against the wall type of scenario. And that's what's going on out in SoCal. I think USC is an interesting team this year. We expected so much out of Maiyava before and never really got it. Does it finally click? I mean, I don't know. We've seen Lincoln Riley have great years. It's never consistent. But like I said, it seems to be when you least expect it, he has that moment where they're really good. So that would be my team. That's kind of the most. I mean, I know they're only maybe the fourth pick in the league to win it, so it's not that huge of a dark horse. But I do think that they're one of those teams that could do that.
Yeah, I thought about that for quite a while, but the Maiyava thing just throws me off, and
I know,
he is so inconsistent, and even I don't know, just watching play, he's one of those guys that he might get the job done, but it just doesn't look great. It's like a kind of a clunky throwing motion, and just I mean, who cares if he's winning? You don't really mind what it looks like, but if you're like a uninvested observer, you're like, man, that looks like crap. And so, but I'm with you. I could see. I mean, he would be the opposite of some of those coaches I mentioned before, where it's like he's pretty proven at different locations in over the course of a good amount of years. It's not like he's just flash in the pan type of deal.
Yeah.
They've always been like a defensive type of conversation when it comes to his teams, and I honestly I think at where he's at now is they've probably answered that question the most as far as having a pretty solid defensive.
That hasn't been their problem.
From his previous stops. So I would say that's kind of mixed. It's just a matter of that you're playing in a really good conference, and they're the fact that I mean, I'm glad it happened to somebody else, but they're still kind of in that mode of like when you first join the conference, they don't really do you any favors when it comes to travel schedule. They've had to do some cross country trips and go maybe an East Coast thing and then come back and play the next week on a Friday, even or whatever. They've had some scheduling things, but I mean that's kind of part of the thing when you signed up for it. That was the downside, that you want to talk about the millions, but you got to do the travel too. I did really want to pick that. I just couldn't really do it. I guess I don't have a lot of confidence, but if you want to pick like maybe a dark horse to come out of nowhere, I guess with when talked about before with Whittingham, Michigan's just right below them, at least the book
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for odds, and I could see them maybe doing something crazy and kind of giving people a tough year just because it wasn't an issue of how good they were as far as capability with players on the roster and on the field. It was obviously many other things going on in the leading up to those games that were a big distraction. If
Lack
and
of
I would
focus.
probably say maybe I'd have a little bit more question of them as we get 2 or 3 years down into like Whittingham's the era of him being their head coach because of the fact that I know he did pretty well at Utah, but you got to recruit a different type of player and a different level to match, the Ohio States, the Oregons, the USC's than you do when you're, kind of, we can kind of have maybe a certain type of formula here and no one else is really going to do it. When you're in the Big Ten, there's a lot of a copycat going on, with not in a bad way. It's just it's all like that higher level of type of thing. So I think that would be something to watch. But I think this would be kind of a splash thing that maybe he could do something in the first year. And probably the craziest thing to me is that Penn State's right below him. I understand that maybe they have some players from Franklin recruited, but man, that's they also bring in a lot of new players from a different conference, and it's just and a new coach and their schedule is fairly
That's
favorable as
That's
far as
what
it
it
would
is. It's
be
a
for
schedule.
like a first year thing, but I still it's that's just to me that's wild that they're the sixth team on this board of they're ahead of Washington, who is pretty much like everybody's dark horse
Mm-hmm.
to make a run this year.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I saw that too, and I was like, and I think some people are going to say too that they'd be a dark horse, and it's because the schedule. I mean, it's teed up for them. I mean,
Yeah.
they should
Well,
have a good chance to win a lot of those games. So it's
and that
interesting.
brings a whole different conversation. That's almost like that's almost I'd rather have the opposite of being like their schedule's so tough and then you kind of maybe get 8 wins or something and it looks so good. But the fact of that's a
Yeah,
lot of pressure. You're coming in already to a place that I mean they with their actions they showed it like if you don't win at all, see you later, buddy.
yeah, yeah. No,
And
yeah.
it's and you're like, oh, you got an easy schedule. You better be
Mm-hmm.
at least in the contention
Yeah,
for the
year
playoff
one. Yeah,
minimum.
yeah,
And even more wild than that though is and God, it's just I mean not trying to throw freaking throw anything out against them but the God Purdue is a plus 100,000 where I'm looking like good God.
wow.
Like what are you doing? Like that's just I mean I
Uh,
understand that how the league is very top heavy, but it's still to see that is like that's just not even that this doesn't seem like what's the
that
just don't
doesn't.
have them on.
Yeah, it doesn't even make
Like
sense. Like,
just
why
I
would
mean
you even
even when
do
you
that?
get I mean you get to the you got 14 to 5 teams that are longer than 20,000 odds. It's like just don't put them on there. Just he just go top 7 or whatever and call it a day.
Yeah.
Don't
Well,
no need to insult those individual. Don't just
Well, and
let,
how long
let
ago, was it that we thought that, Purdue was always a half reasonable team, like a
yeah.
500 team, like this,
It
it's
seems like
crazy.
it was yesterday when that it was like a night game and they're like doing the stupid blinking lights with the damn train horn and they're
Hmm.
kicking the shit out of Ohio State at
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
But those that's a long time ago, obviously. But it's just it shows you how difficult it is, I guess. But also, it's just you wonder kind of what's going on in some of these places. Like,
Hmm.
is it even worth? I don't know. I mean, you don't want to go too crazy, but is it even worth you know, trying to maybe I mean, I guess basketball keeps them sedated enough for the
That's
year. I
true.
don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They got that going for them. So, yeah.
Got another 7'8" guy coming in this week to
Yeah.
visit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. They found somebody over in Serbia or somewhere. It's going to come in, no problem. Yeah. So, yeah, that's a look at the Big Ten. Obviously, all those leagues. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. There could be a lot of weird things that happen. I would not be surprised if there are a couple of big surprises and even the major conferences this year. At least teams that are going to be in contention. Maybe not the ones that end up winning it, but there's probably going to be a couple of surprises along the way that'll be right there down to the wire to maybe make it that far, or at least get into the conference championship game too. So we'll keep our eye on it. It'll be fun to watch throughout the year, but that's kind of our take of what we see it right now. We will have games coming up, as I mentioned, right around the corner here this weekend for the early one, the week 0, so to speak. So we will have some picks coming out at you, so make sure you're monitoring. The YouTube channel is, of course, Every Day We're Covering. Just search it up, and we'll have those posts for you on our picks that we go with each and every week. We usually give you a good handful of about 5 that each of us like every week, and you can put those together or fade those or whatever you want to do. But that's kind of how we go about it, attacking it. And then we'll also, of course, give you feedback and input on Twitter as well. We do that sometimes as games are going on throughout the weekend too. So at Cherokee CP, at SJM Bets, those are the handles if you want to follow us there on Twitter for all of that action. And we'll put the graphics up there too for you to follow along. And then if you would, of course, subscribe, get the notifications here on the podcast, we'll have talk and picks for you on this show each and every week as well, if you would like to join us. We do have a couple of quick notes we wanted to pass along to you before we finish up. A little bit of a tip of the cap goes out to Mr. Bill Rasmussen, the visionary who started the ESPN franchise. He's the one that had the idea to create a 24-hour cable sports network in the late 1970s called ESPN. He died this past Tuesday at the age of 93 from the effects of Parkinson's. So tip of cap, Mr. Rasmussen. Obviously changed the way that sports integrated into a lot of our lives. You know, we may have our qualms with how it operates these days and what its focus is these days, but certainly the way it started, we all have memories of turning on that Sports Center and trying to catch the highlights and all those types of things. It's definitely changed the way we view sports.
Yeah, in its heyday, you couldn't really beat it. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people fall in that category. I mean, sometimes you record it just to watch it later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, VCR days, just because you couldn't necessarily be home, or you're like, during the summer especially, you're gonna be bored during the day when you're got nothing to do and school's out and you're a kid, so you record it and just rewatch it during the day, and just especially when it got to where the anchors kind of got to be the stars of the show. It was kind of fun for a while, and you just you'd say whatever catchphrase and everybody know what you're talking about. So yeah, I don't think the sports at least media coverage of things would be kind of, and I'm not talking about the, like you alluded to, the the debate shows or the whatever it's become now, but as far as just the fact that we can pretty much watch any game and every game we want, whether it be on cable or streaming service or whatever, I don't think it would have got to that point if this wouldn't have happened back then. I mean, maybe it'd be later and we'd still be hoping for the days of watching every game, but that definitely was kind of a big deal and a milestone in for the sports fans that probably, maybe gets overlooked, and you think like, oh, it's just kind of everything's on now, but they had to start somewhere. So I think that was a big thing. And also just a hell of a, I mean, there was, when they came up with the idea, everyone's kind of probably laughed them out of the room and just was saying like, this is stupid. No one's gonna, even no one's going to sports all the time. Like, well, like, there's a lot of people that actually would if that was an option. And kind of yearn for those days to return where it's just sports, even just like the just show the highlights or whatever. That's kind of what we asked for. But ESPN is definitely whatever happens going with the channel and the thing. It will still be, when you say those letters or whatever, everyone knows what you're talking about. So that says it all right there.
Yeah,
like you don't have to explain it. Like,
yep, yeah, it's become a part of our culture for sure. So yeah, rest in peace, Mr. Rasmussen. We wanted to finish up, of course, as we have the last couple of weeks with our. We still haven't come up with a coined term for this yet. We'll get there.
Taking suggestions.
Give us some thoughts on what we should call this. But we've kind of been sticking with the dumbass thing of the week or dumbass person of the week. But that's kind of what mostly it is. But we need a good liner here. The folks at the USC social media team are maybe making a little bit of a regret here this week because, we like to catch on to trends. We like to catch on to things that are hype, and they tried to do that. People across the country, of course, have been all caught up in the release of this film, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, but so the USC social media account posted their own version of the movie poster, and featuring their famed Trojan headgear with the caption, "Our Odyssey begins August 29th." referring to their, of course, opening football game against of the 26th season. Of course, they're called the Men of Troy. Well, the irony here is the movie is based on Odysseus' 10-year journey home to Ithaca from the 10-year-long Trojan War, which, of course, infamously saw the fall of Troy, and Odysseus was the one who devised the plan to give them the Trojan horse, which caused the fall of Troy and ultimately killed the Trojans. So the historical context was lost on the young social media folks, and they got roundly roasted on the social media sphere as people quickly pointed that out. I think I was noted that they first realized it when the Troy account, Troy University, sent that back a note like, hey, this actually wasn't really a good thing for the Trojans, so to speak. You might want to rethink here.
Yeah, of course. It's fiction or what have you, but at least in the story, you still ended up being the loser. So at least read the what you're talking about is basically the bottom line here. And shoot, I would have went with they could have went Mutiny, little Jason Statham action. That's I ended up catching that one. Shout out to the T-Mobile $5 movie ticket deal. And I mean he takes everyone out, as you would expect. So they should have went that route, but and gone just taking on all comers type of deal. He's in most of his movies kind of like a one man thing. But yeah, you're right. It was trying to hop on the trend. But I guess I will whether it's good or bad with the social media thing. They got their engagement, plenty of comments,
maybe that's what they're
plenty of retweets and bookmarks and likes and all that thing. So, I mean, maybe they didn't do it as you would have hoped, but they got the engagement there's your ad revenue and there's your money. That's what it's all about, right? So we gave USC their love earlier, and now, maybe we'll see their posting for some new, social media content creators there because whatever the case may be, that was a snafu, and maybe I'm sure they got a library on campus. Maybe you should hit that up every now and again.
I mean, I probably like these kids, I'm sure they did, it's just something they never study. They don't know.
They just Google Trends. What's the hot cool topic right now? That's what we're gonna try to integrate that. So. And even like you look at the tweet, like the graphic looks amazing. Yeah. It was good. It's just a matter of you need a better tie-in than that.
Yeah, the comments are hilarious. Like one of them said this college football Reddit thing went back at him and said, "Hey, so I don't want to spoil things, but the Trojans get wrecked on a trick play in the prequel." And then someone mentioned even worse, they start the season against the Spartans of San Jose State. So it couldn't be any better.
Then you got someone quote tweeting the Cardale Jones deal with we come here why do we have to go to class? We came here to play football. We ain't playing no school. So I guess that fits there at least.
Oh, that's hilarious. So there you go. That's our little good laugh for the week there. What's going on in the college football social media world. All right, that's going to wind it down for us here this week. Be on the lookout for those picks later on for those early season games. We'll get have some fun with that both on Twitter and then, of course, in the YouTube channel. So be locked in. That's SJ Munoz. I'm Chris Parks. Thanks for joining us for another week of Every Day We're Covering. We'll see you next time for some more covers.